622. Paul Juergens, News Radio, KFGO.
The Mighty 790 KFGO and 104.7 FM. Good afternoon, and thanks so much for joining us. I'm Dan Michaels. Polly Lyons is our producer. You just heard Mr. Juergens in the KFGO News Center. Welcome back to The Drive this afternoon. There's so many things that we didn't know about the White House. James Monroe or Dwight Eisenhower, Calvin Coolidge or George W. Bush or other stories. But author Hal Macovitz can talk about the many strange stories that have been circulating around the White House since the Adamses' days. They were the first person to move into the executive mansion way back when. Our guest today is a former journalist in the Daily Press. Hal Macovitz is the author of nearly 200 books, most of them for school library markets. For older readers, he's co-authored, oh my gosh, a bunch of different things. Travelogues, Educations of Presidents of the United States, Painting the White House, and My Life with Wings, I think, are his latest things, but we're going to get updated. Let's not mess around. Let's get him on the air. Would you please welcome Carson Wentz fan from the city of brotherly love in Philadelphia, Hal Macovitz. Hi, Hal. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Very good. So, Hal, you believe that Carson Wentz's career can be resurrected with the Philadelphia Eagles?
Absolutely. I think he's going to get a fresh start. They have a new coach, and there's some new electricity going on. So I'm really looking forward to a good season next year.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. We were of the thinking that Carson was persona non grata in Philadelphia these days.
Oh, absolutely not. No, he's still very popular. He's he's the go-to guy, I think. No, I think he's going to be around for a while.
Well, we think he's an amazing guy, very, very talented. And, you know, what's the best thing about him is he's just a really prince of a person. He's just a great man. And so we do hope things work out for you guys in Philadelphia. I still haven't made it out to watch a Philadelphia Eagles game. So, you know, we keep hearing stories about how rough the Philadelphia Eagles fans are out there, Hal. So I'm a big Steelers fan. So if I walked in with my black and gold, do you think that would go over?
I don't think that would be too very well welcomed. It would be worse if you wore Dallas Cowboys swag or New York Giants swag. So Steelers, you might get out with your life, but not if you wore your Cowboy swag in there. No.
Our operations manager went out to a game, but he was flying his Minnesota Vikings colors because of where we're out here. There's tons of Vikes fans, and it didn't go well for him. He doesn't tell too many good stories, but now it's starting to get a little more humorous now that it's been a few years. Hal, before we start talking about some interesting things from your book, Painting the White House, I just had to say, I go to when I'm prepping for my show every day. I kind of go to school on everybody I'm going to have on the air and stuff. And looking your material up today was truly enlightening. Over 200 books, and you've got more coming. How can you be so proficient, Hal? You must write all the time.
That's basically my life, yes. I really have that laptop open a lot, and, that's the thing to do. You have to keep working.
You must be one of the most curious people in the whole world to constantly be doing research on your subject matter.
Oh, it's a challenge. You get for these books for the school libraries. You get the books assigned to you by the publishers you're working for, and you have to go attack the subject. You have to go find the information. It is a bit easier than it was when I started back in the 1990s, and the internet wasn't much of anything then. So I used to take a bag of quarters to the library and start pumping them into the microfilm machines, if anybody remembers.
Sure, the microfiche, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a little different than it was 20-some years ago, but still it's a little easier, but not that much.
Just to give you a background of our guest here, Hal Marcovitz's proficiency, he has written books on things from Dr. Dre to Nancy Pelosi to Tupac, Sacagawea, Custer, Lindsay Lohan, the Lincoln Memorial, George Custer, teen suicide, caffeine, Chris Daughtry, Al Sharpton, Venus and Serena Williams, the Manning brothers. I mean, incredible. And one of his latest things that he has done is called Painting the White House, which tells the story of an ordinary house painter who finds himself at the center of White House intrigues and misadventures, which takes you to a interesting knowledge of little-known things that have happened inside the White House, Hal.
Right. As you said, the book is a novel. It's a made-up story, which makes it a lot different from your school library assignments. But it is a novel, and it's political satire. And when I was writing the story, I really wanted to base the book on factual information. So I, did some research on the White House to see what goes on in there and how things are done, and in this case, the color of the walls. And as I was doing this research, I just started tripping over these very, very funny, very humorous facts that really happened in the White House. And it's just a delight to keep finding out these things. And I managed to weave a few of them into the narrative, but for the most part, they are very, very, very funny.
Well, let's jump in then. Who was Betsy Donahue, and what role did she play in the construction of the White House?
This goes back to the 1790s while the White House was under construction, and it was designed by an architect named James Hoban, who actually won a competition to design the White House. So he gets the job, and he gets down to work, and he decides he's going to supervise the construction of the White House 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So he has a cottage built on the construction grounds on 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, or actually I don't know what the address was in those days, but that's what it turned out to be. And he has a cottage built on the construction grounds, and he moves into the cottage, and he's living there 7 days a week. Eventually, he decides that the construction has proceeded to the point where he just doesn't have to keep an eye on it every day, and he can go back home. So he moves out of the cottage, and he leases the cottage to a carpenter named Donahue and his wife Betsy, and the Donahues move in. And before long, it is determined that Betsy Donahue is running a brothel out of the cottage. So the Donahues were kicked out, but the first unofficial use, if you will, of the White House was as not what it's used for today.
That is hysterical. We're talking with Hal Macovitz. Hal has written so many books, and one of his latest is called Painting the White House, which has led him to uncover some really interesting facts about the White House. So which president discovered that somebody had stolen his underwear?
That goes to the War of 1812, and that was President Madison. And what happened was, as we know, the British invaded Washington during the war, and the city was evacuated, and the White House, of course, and the president and his family were evacuated out of the White House. So the British, about 150 British sailors show up at the White House, and they find the place empty, and they decide to take a tour, and they go from room to room, and some British sailors found their way into the president's bedroom, and they found his underwear. And they decided to take it with them. So they stole his underwear, and then they set fire to the White House, by the way. Which is a historical fact.
I remember
but
that
before
part.
Before they did so, they made off with his underwear. And I guess one can only imagine that that trip back to Britain in the ocean was going to be long, and there wasn't any good place to do your laundry. So help yourself with the president's underwear.
I bet they were extra warm on the way home. How about that? So what gift did Elvis Presley give to Richard Nixon when he was at the White House?
Elvis, this was back in, I believe, 1970, and Elvis was a police buff. He collected badges and belt buckles and that sort of thing from various police departments. He had his eye on a badge from the Drug Enforcement Administration. He wanted a DEA badge. So he asked around, and he found out the only way he's going to get a DEA badge is to become a DEA agent. Okay, so he wasn't going to do that, but he gets it in his mind that he will get President Nixon to swear him in as an honorary DEA agent, and Nixon could give him the badge. So he calls his guys together, and he tells them, we're going to go to Washington today, and I'm going to get sworn in as an agent of the DEA. So they're all for it, and they pile into a limo, and they go out to the airport in Memphis, and they get on a plane, and they fly up to Washington. They hire a car, and they drive up to the White House. Elvis gets out of the car, goes up to the gate, tells the guard what he's there for. Well, they don't have no idea what's going on here. So the guard calls into the White House and tells them Elvis Presley's at the gate, and he's here to get sworn into the DEA by the president. What do I do?
Wow.
So this story kicks around the White House for the next several minutes or hour or whatever, and they have meetings and they put their heads together and they decide, you know what, this is a good idea. Let's bring him in here. We'll find some time in Nixon's schedule. He can swear in Elvis. Elvis will get his badge. We'll get a big picture out of it. It'll be great publicity. So that's what happens. So they find some time at the end of Nixon's lunch hour, and they show Elvis into the White House, into the Oval Office. Elvis is wearing one of his velour jumpsuits, with a cape. And they take the picture, which I understand is still the number one selling souvenir at the Nixon Library.
Wow.
So they take the picture, and Elvis gets sworn in, and Nixon gives him a badge. And Elvis has brought a gift into the White House to give to Nixon. And when you think about what's happened in Washington over the last few weeks, you really find yourself astounded by this. But Elvis has brought a gun into the Oval Office to give to Nixon. And he takes a gun out and he gives it to Nixon. And I'm not sure what happened to the Secret Service agents. They must have soiled their pants when they saw that.
Boy.
But it all went well.
Wow.
And Nixon was very gracious, and he accepted the gift. And there's a kind of a funny postscript to this, that after Elvis gets his badge and leaves, Nixon turns to his aides and says, who was that guy? I know he's a singer or something, but who is that? The king of rock and roll? I know my daughters listen to his music, but I don't really know who that guy was.
That's great. That's great. You can get these stories and many more in the latest work of our guest, Hal Macovitz. His book is called Painting the White House. But you're working on more than this, Hal.
Oh, well, I have some school library books in the works. I just turned in a manuscript about whether UFOs are real. Okay.
Really? Okay.
And I just turned in some copy also on some of the disastrous things that happened in the year 2020. So, yes, that's kind of a busy time.
Hal, I'm holding on to your phone number because we're going to have you back for all these different subject matters that you write on. And what did you come to a conclusion about UFOs?
Yeah. there may be something out there. You have to keep an open mind.
Okay.
There's a lot of people. I think there's a poll out there. I think it was the Gallup poll. Found that 33% of the people believe in them. So, something must be going on out there.
It sure seems amazing that we would be the only occupied planet in all of space. But I don't know. I've never seen a UFO myself. I keep looking, though. Maybe one day. Just the weird alien I see in my mirror all the time. Hal Macovitz joining us today. Stories of the White House. It's called Painting the White House. Your books are available everywhere. I see biblio.com here for your stuff here, but Amazon.com, I'm assuming?
Right, and the best way, if you want to take a look at it, is to go to paintingthewhitehouse.com, and there is information there on how to get the links to order the book.
Well, and don't stop there. My gosh, Hal Macovitz is a highly proficient author, writer, and he's got some great stories as well. Hal, thanks so very much. Can't wait to have you back again.
Well, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Hal. You have a wonderful evening. Go Eagles.
Okay.
Thanks, Hal. KFGO time is 4:24. You're listening to The Drive with Dan Michaels on the Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO.
The triple towers of power and the power of 100,000 FM watts. The Mighty 790, 104.7 KFGO.
Hate to disappoint you, Mother Nature. Better luck next time. If the power goes out, your Generac automatic home standby generator goes on automatically. Snowstorms, tornadoes, flash floods, is that all you've got? Stand up to the threat of power outages with a new Generac home standby or portable generator from Acme Tools. And never feel powerless again. See the full line.